What can you say about Rick? Uh, Tireless worker, um, does it with no question. He's the first guy to pick up the pizza box at the end of the meeting and clean up, and he's also the first guy to put his hand up and say, "I just got a couple questions here." And every question comes with a lot of thought and with a lot of care, with the importance of doing right for student athletes, whether it's at a school level or at a provincial level. The first time I saw Rick, he was coaching on the sideline, and I was like, "Who's that guy?" And then I find about a little bit of his history, and I finally get to meet him. And I remember the first handshake, and he stared me straight in the eyes. Something my dad said was very important to me when I was a young man, and that was Rick's first gesture to me, and it came with kind words. And I knew from that point on that Rick was someone that I could rely upon. And there's been many times I have relied upon him, just like the AS2A has. This isn't Rick's first stop on the AS2A, and I don't believe it's going to be his last stop either. I'm sure that he'll find a way to contribute. His time on the AS2A, he's spent extra time through the COVID scenario, has a huge impact on impact. But more importantly, he's held everyone in check and reminds us constantly what our job is to do, and that is to support student athletes and is to support the people that are working with student athletes on a daily basis. Our membership has had the benefit of Rick being a leader and also being someone that is there to support from arm's length at all times. We rely heavily on Rick, and we will maintain to rely heavily on Rick. And I just want to thank you, Rick, for your time and efforts towards the executive. And I know that our friendship will continue. And don't stop challenging me or anyone else, because we know why you're challenging Rick. It's because you want the best out of each one of us, and you want the best for everyone. Thank you, Rick.
I'd been involved with organizing committees of some provincials hosted at Grand Prairie Comp, including the last 3A and 4A boys and girls combined basketball provincials. I'll always remember taking phone calls from coaches asking if there was paved highway all the way to Grand Prairie at the time. I think the 1A, 2A coaches probably chuckle at that, considering those trips to Lacrete on occasion. The province's roads do go in all directions, north, south, east, and west. I was approached following some time as the zone rep for Football Alberta to be the football commissioner. But I think even before that, it's best to acknowledge that I wouldn't have been involved in any of this had it not been for my high school football coach, Brian Anderson at Harry Ainley, and my dad, who had coached volleyball as a community coach at Sir Winston Churchill in Calgary. Both of them encouraged me to play sports. My dad first encouraged me to play sports, and in Brian's case, he encouraged me to coach, even though I'd been one of the coach's favorite players. At least that's what I think it meant, as they insisted I stay close to them on the sidelines for large portions of the game. But when he found out I was going into education, he said, "You should come coach." And some 60 football teams later, I've enjoyed him coaching a great deal. As for joining executive, I think it was Mark McQuaig from Fairview, who approached me as my 4 years as football commissioner came to a close and asked if I'd put my name forward as vice president. And that's been a tremendous honor to serve on the executive. You know, when you consider why would anybody want to be on the board, I think it's important to be on the board. I think we can never assume that the magic happens without hard work. And the hard work is in part ensuring that we are creating a provincial playing field that's fair and equitable and inclusive and completely focused on excellence across the entire operation, no matter where you live. You know, the board this doesn't happen by chance. The board is dynamic with all kinds of amazing talent, like just tremendous personalities with great experience and passion. And it's vital, I think, that we have new blood, new ideas, people who are willing to ask, why do you do it that way? Or couldn't we just try? We need to encourage them to be on the board and speak up. We have so much we can learn by coming out of our personal echo chambers or geographic regions. I think that's really important to get a feel. It's easy to think it all revolves around my little piece of the universe, 4A or 3A, and you think, well, there's tremendous programs and big provincial championships, and then you hear of somebody that's coaching 7 sports at a 1A school with 72 high school kids. It's just incredible. Just in awe of the people that do that work. I don't know that anything is as a result of my time with the AS2A, and I think that's really important to consider. Our time together, I can definitely live with that, because nothing happens because of any one individual. I do love that we've added, 6-man football and 7-man rugby, even though I think the rugby one caught some people off guard, happened kind of sudden. But then again, one of the rugby commissioners at the time, he was arguing the Oilers should trade Draisaitl. So, credibility, there we go. But those are exciting adventures, and our attempts to grow cheer and handball. Shanna's great work on all things unified is absolutely amazing. Just love the work that's been there. I've loved being involved a bit and helping out a little on impact. But really applaud the heavy lifting of people like Deanna and Heather and Michael Vaughn and so many others who were so visionary in getting that started. Looking at who we are and how we're going to serve schools and students moving forward. I'm proud of the association for exploring new sports, standing up for sportsmanship, like really seriously individual sportsmanship, looking for ways to recognize that as well as team whenever we see it, and calling out when it's not there. I think that that's important too. Working to develop leadership and integrity as an association, even when it means we got 150 appeals in a year and a possible court case or two, and hard conversations with coaches about recruiting and things of that nature. It all comes back to trying to build leaders and people we can be collectively proud of as alumni of the AS2A, as coaches, players, and schools. I think that would be about that. I'd just like to say thank you to all the staff. John, who I first met in that 3A, 4A basketball tournament. Deanna, Michelle Ross before. To all the board members, young and old, for your ideas, your passion and willingness to share. And most importantly, after coaching 60 plus football teams and another 15 or so basketball, volleyball teams, and this time on the board, I'm eternally grateful for my wife Chana's support. I don't know that she knew she was signing up for all of this back in March 1980 when we got married, but it's been great. And thank you to her, and thank you to all of you. And it just wouldn't be right to end without saying, every single one of you, young and old, this is at least one book to have on the shelf. If you want a few other titles, anytime. And if you've got a great book that you're reading, I'd love to hear about it. Thank you very much.